All right, so now we're at the most famous lick at iMusicAcademy. I'd say the one that started it all. I get so many emails, so many comments of how much people love this lick. I love it too. I had a gig last night and I played this lick in as part of the blues we were playing. I was playing with the bass player. There's something about this lick that gets people just feeling the blues, and for me it's a great way to warm up. Let me tell you why it's a great way to warm up. Notice that I'm using all of my fingers in my right hand, and I'm really working my fingers, but I'm also working the sliding minor third to major third. We talk about tension and release in the blues. This minor third to major third is something that you want to capitalize on, the ability to slide from one note to the next. Now, when I started classical music, I started classical music before I did jazz. I had to learn how to slide. How do you slide these notes? And like, it seems almost counterintuitive at times to use fingers to slide from one to the next. But you use your second finger. In this case, I love second finger to second finger. And then I love, if you can do it, F and A to 2 and 4 and 3 and 5. And notice that I'm up into the keys for G and B flat. And I'm going to practice this over and over and kind of get used to this sound right here. You can practice right hand only, but when we talk about locking up the left hand, you have to do this right here, C, G to C, A. This is kind of a boogie-woogie kind of bass line, a very simple quarter note bass line, and we're just doing C, G to C, A. Now some of my students before come to me and they do C, G with a thumb and thumb. I'm okay with that if that really works for you. I kind of like the fingering here, 5-2 to 5-1. And at first it may feel a little difficult for you, but I promise you'll probably thank me in the long run of C, G to C, A of 5-2 to 5-1. Okay, this example has 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So I'm rocking back and forth, 3 and 4 and slide, always against the C. Notice that I'm alternating on the and, 1 and, the C gets the and, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. So even if I'm playing this, and I've taught a whole lot of students. Even, musicians who are coming along, they're getting familiar with piano. Sometimes it's difficult to lock your hands up. It's one of my favorite things to teach is how to lock up the hands. Because if you can get somebody to learn how to lock up the hands, it gives them a confidence like they've never had before. I have students that have come to me and they're having trouble locking up the left hand and the right hand. It might sound like this. And maybe they have the left hand, maybe they have the right hand really good, or just the left hand. But let me say something that's so important right now. If you can play it slow and straight, you can do anything. So this is where my classical background came into play when I started teaching this kind of stuff and even learning for myself. I said, well, how in the world, if you want this kind of loosey-goosey kind of blues kind of sound where you just kind of laid back a little bit, but how do you line it up with the left hand? There are a couple of really important things. One is you can think 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 1 and then 3 and then 4. That's what helps you get the blues feel. That's one of the things that can help you do that. But also, you figure out where the beats line up, but you play something slow and play it straight, you can line up anything. Let me demonstrate. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I can even go slower than that, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and what I would do is look, where did the beats line up? At first the C is by itself and 1. Okay, those are together. E and G and C and G. 1 and the C is by itself. 1 and now watch this. C and A go with the F and A. 1 and 2 and then the C's by itself, 3 and gets the G and the B flat against the C and G, and then that's by itself, and then once again, oh, I'm noticing a pattern here. F and A is with C and A. Okay, so you get the idea. You practice slow and straight. If you're a beginner, I want you to practice it right hand only or left hand only. If you have more experience, I want you to play it in a different key, maybe up a half step. Now, I made a statement earlier that you can often play any lick, chord, idea in any key with just a couple of different fingerings. Now, for C major, we slide from our second finger to our second finger. Now, when you're playing the C blues, this same fingering works on F. It's the same motions, just starting in a different place. Same thing with G. You are sliding on from the minor third to major third. Now, to transpose to the key of D flat, which would be up a half step, I can't slide on to that major third. I have to hammer on. So in order to hammer on, I use fingers 2 and 3. And I get up into the keys and I practice hammering on, and I go 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5. And I'm up. Notice how far I'm into the keys. Now, that's what I call a hammer-on key. I'm hammering on that minor third to major third, where here I was sliding. So, with this theory of you can usually play something in all keys with just a couple different fingerings, this is the perfect example. You're either doing a slide key fingering of second finger to second finger for the minor third to major third, or you're hammering on fingers 2 and 3. So I go to D, it's a hammer-on fingering. I have to hammer on that major third. All right, so let's go through all the keys. C major is a slide key. I'm sliding on my minor third to major third. D flat's going to be a hammer-on. I hammer on that minor third to major third. D major, I have to hammer on the minor third to major third. So it's a hammer-on fingering, 2 and 3. E flat is a slide key. E major is a hammer-on. F major is a slide. F sharp, I have to hammer on to that minor third to major third. G major is a slide. A flat, hammer on. A major, hammer on. B flat is a slide key. And B major is a hammer on. So the whole thing, you knock it out. All right, you get the idea. Let's go ahead and play for just a second. I'll use these voicings in the left hand. F major, same thing. G. And then go to the G chord, I'll start over. Okay, one little quick tip before we play this again is that you don't always have to play it all the way up. Sometimes you might just want to play it halfway up and leave a little space, or maybe I want to start at the top. Let me demonstrate that and then we'll move on to the next idea. 2, 1, how about halfway up? Here we go.